Given that sine of a equals 5 over 13 and a is in quadrant 1, tangent of b is negative radical 3 and b is in quadrant 2, we want to find cosine of a plus b and the sine of a minus b. Now I have the Greek letters here, alpha and beta, but we'll just call them a and b, just for a little bit simpler here. All right, there's a lot going on here, right? Oh, let's see. We are given this. Sine of a is 5 over 13, right? So that's an angle, okay? We're also given the tangent of b, right? That's another angle. This one is in quadrant 2. Notice here, though, what are we trying to find, right? So what is the question actually asking us? The question is asking us to find the cosine of a plus b and the sine of a minus b, right? I mean, you can think of this as two problems in one, okay? So let's take a look. Okay, I want to find the cosine of a plus b. Hey, wait a minute. That is just a sum formula for cosine, right? Cosine of a plus b. And I know what that is, right? This is the cosine of a times the cosine of b. And in this case, minus the sine of a times the sine of b. So you got to look at this and say, okay, I want to find cosine of a plus b, but I need these four things in order to determine that. So then that's the next question, right? Do I know the cosine of a and the cosine of b, and the sine of a and the sine of b? Okay? And of course, right, we can get that using the given information. Okay? And lastly here, right, we want to find the sine of a minus b, right? And this is the difference formula for sine. This is going to be sine of a times the cosine of b minus the cosine of a times the sine of b. Okay? So we want to find these, right? Well, let's take a look at what's given, right? I know that the sine of a equals 5 over 13. I also know that angle A is in quadrant 1. Well, here's quadrant 1, right? There's my angle, there's A. The sine of A is 5 over 13. That will make the opposite side 5. The hypotenuse is 13, which makes the adjacent side here 12, right? Take a look. Sine of A is 5 over 13. That was just given, but we now know that the cosine of A is 12 over 13. And there we go, right? That's what we need. We need the sine of A and the cosine of A. Well, what about B, right? Okay, I know that B is in quadrant 2. So let me draw that angle here in quadrant 2. Okay, here is angle B. Tangent of that is negative radical 3. Remember, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that means this is radical 3 here. This is negative 1. Don't get your signs mixed up, right? It's not negative radical 3. Okay. The denominator here is that negative 1 value, opposite over adjacent, right? We know that this length is y, which is positive. Okay, so using the Pythagorean theorem, negative 1 squared plus radical 3 squared, we get 4, and take the square root of that, so this hypotenuse is 2. All right, what can we determine from this? Do we know the sine of A now? I'm sorry, the sine of B? Yeah, the sine of B is positive radical 3 over 2. And what is the cosine of B then? That's just adjacent over hypotenuse. That's negative 1/2. Can we answer this question now? Can we answer the cosine of A plus B? Well, sure we can, right? Cosine of A plus B is cosine of A, cosine of B, minus the sine of A times the sine of B. Hey, wait a minute. I know what the cosine of A is, right? Cosine of A is 12 over 13. Cosine of B is negative 1/2. Minus the sine of A, which is 5 over 13, times the sine of B, which is positive radical 3 over 2. Right now, we should be able to just combine and simplify, right? We get 12, or negative 12 over 26, minus 5 rad 3 over 26, right? So then just combine these into one fraction, right? Negative 12 minus 5 radical 3 all over 26. And that would be the cosine of A plus B. What about the sine of A minus B? Well, sine of A minus B, right? Well, that's just over here, right? That's the sine of A, cosine of B. Well, I know what the sine of A is, right? Sine of A is 5 over 13. Cosine of B, I know what that is. That's negative 1/2. Cosine of A is 12 over 13. And sine of B is positive rad 3 over 2. Right, so in this case, we get negative 5 over 26 minus 12 rad 3 over 26. They have the same denominator, So negative 5 minus 12 rad 3 all over 26. Right? And this is going to be the sine of a minus b. All right, so once again, it looks pretty confusing, right? There's a lot of information here, but what you want to focus on is what is given and what you're trying to find here, right? And then using the appropriate formula and using the given information to plug in these values that we need.